Hello, Dr. Karen here. Welcome to this week's Spiritual Medicine Digest. And the topic for today is around letting go of control. I know that one. Anyway, if you are new to my channel, would love for you to hit the subscribe button, perhaps the notification bell. So every time I do a new video, you will be notified. So let's talk about control. Okay, as a recovering perfectionist and control freak, I can certainly attest to the challenges of letting go of control. That being said, what's amazing is as human beings, we have an incredible influence on what happens not just to our lives or within our lives, but even the weather, even what happens to other people. A lot has to do with our energy and our intention and the vibration that we are at. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but what does that actually mean in a practical way? Okay, so some people think, well, you should let go and not control anything and just let life happen, right? There's a partial truth to the wisdom of that. And at the same time, most of us have desires. Most of us have preferences of what we'd like to see happen to ourselves or in the world. And so for a lot of people, that doesn't work for them. To have no preferences, no choices, and just let life basically happen to them. Now, that being said, in some spiritual circles, that is I would say, misconception of letting go. So the misconception around letting go was really having no particular intention. The misconception that letting go means just allowing what happened happens and oh well, And what I find is that people that have that particular misconception tend to be a little aimless. I'm not saying you have to be directive and definitely not saying controlling. But here's the thing. Letting go of control is different from having no intention at all in your life. Meaning that, it's sort of like, okay, you're renting a car. That car happens to come with a GPS device, and you would like to go from point A to point B. However, you decide to go with the flow and surrender to what is and let go, and you just start driving. And you drive, and you drive, and you drive with no intention at all, with not setting the GPS in the car. I have no idea where you are, right? For most people, that might be fun for maybe 30 minutes, and then after that, they're like hungry, need to eat, or they're like, this looks like a really dangerous part of town. Maybe I shouldn't be here, right? So most people that I know would probably not do that. They would probably go, wow, I'd like to go from Dallas to Seattle, so I'm going to put in the address in the GPS, and then the GPS can help me, support me in going the direction that I wish to go. That being said, once we put the address in, we take directions, right? And depending which app you use, most of the time they're pretty correct. Make a left here. Oh, there's a traffic jam over here, so veer over this way. And we do it and we avoid the traffic jam and all is good. One time I did not listen to Waze and went right into the traffic jam. Anyway, I thought it was more straightforward to go straight rather than go this way, but apparently I was incorrect. Anyway, so there is a difference between letting go and just letting whatever happens, happens, and you don't have any direction, right? So we've cleared that up, right? That misconception. So it is a good thing to set your GPS and it's okay to have a desire. You're human, right? So humans have desires, they have preferences, and that is okay. You don't have to pretend you don't. So you can say, this is my preference, right? You can acknowledge that you desire a particular outcome. Here's the cool thing is just by making a decision, or at least declaring to the universe what it is you desire to see to fruition. That's huge. That's like setting your GPS and the universe goes, oh, that's where you want to go. Okay. Now, the clearer you are and consistent you are, the more the universe can give you direction. Now, that could be in the form of your spirit guides, your angels talking to you. Synchronicities is a big one, right? Hints, tips through what, and sometimes if people are not in the usual circles of where they get positive influence, it can happen on TV, it can happen at the restaurant, it could be, some guy that's at the cigarette store, talking about, is there such a thing? Anyway, talking about something, and then it connects with something, and so on and so forth. So the universe will find a way to communicate to you. Whether you are listening is another topic. But if you're paying a little bit of attention, you will probably notice some synchronicities. Now, some it's very obvious because they're like, wow, I just had this thought and I just looked up and it was 444, or 111 or 222. What was I just thinking of, right? And they'll have hints like that. Or you'll have several people in a row say the same thing to you. Or, you hear something on the radio and then you see the same theme on TV and then, a Facebook ad pops up and it's the same theme as well, right? So there's lots of different ways that the universe can get the message to you. But I do believe that if you make an intention of something you prefer, then the universe knows what next to give to you. And if you have a block or an obstacle that is preventing you from actually manifesting what it is you do desire, then that block and obstacle will just go right there in front of your face. And you're like, oh, I can't get it. Yeah. So the universe is so kind. Those are fun. So what about this hurricane, right? Or so-called hurricane that was coming. Now, what's very interesting is that there's a lot of different kinds of weather patterns throughout the world, and goodness knows I cannot keep up with all the different reports of different storms to do weather magic on every single one of them. That being said, I have found in the past that if there is a hurricane or storm that we are called to do what we call weather magic on, it often is because the people that we are connected to on a heart level, whether that be in the Light Warrior Network, with the Light Medicine community, or good friends of mine, or my students or clients, or that kind of thing, is that there seems to be a greater influence that we can have on this storm, whether it be dissipating the storm, clearing the storm, moving the storm, or in one case, splitting the storm into two. Let me tell you that story. So years ago, I can't remember which hurricane. We've done so many hurricane healings in the past. I should have put up a Google Doc and put in a list. Anyway, so this particular one was going to devastate Florida, where I do have a lot of people there that I know. And there was a gal in Boca Raton, and maybe you're still on my mailing list, so maybe you know who you are because I can't remember what your name is. I apologize. And the reports were that her house and everything around it was going to be flooded under 8 feet of water. Her house would be gone, everything would be gone, and she was, let's just say, not a happy camper. So yeah, definitely she had a preference for that not to happen, right? So she called out for help and support in our community for weather magic. Now, weather magic is relatively simple. It doesn't mean it's easy for people half the time because they forget to do it. And the other half of the time because they get influenced by others around them, including the negative thoughts, beliefs, and may I say, mind control of those around them. And that's the hard part. The easy part is actually the weather magic. So, in brief, weather magic is seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, even experiencing the weather you do desire in the place that you desire it in the body as if it's happening right now. Not just visualizing. Visualizing is just one sense, right? But feeling it. And that is spelled out in detail in my book. I think it's chapter 13 of Sensitivity is Your Superpower. Okay? So, weather magic. And we'll put a link to a free chapter if you want that below. So, like I said, a lot of people just don't know they have that kind of influence on the weather. So back to Boca Raton. So calling for weather magic there, right? I don't know what Boca Raton looks like, but she does, right? So we ask her to picture what it is she does desire. And nowadays in the light medicine community, if somebody asks for weather magic, I give them homework. We call it home play, actually. I said, okay, so you need to describe what exactly you do want. Instead of going, oh, the hurricane's this, it's going to 95-mile winds, and it's going to be horrible, right? I'm like, okay, give me the clear picture of what it is you do want, and preferred an actual picture. And that's where the internet's super helpful, right? Because they can pick a picture of some place, that exact place, perfect weather. So you can actually look at the picture and feel it and experience the perfect weather. So the internet's super helpful that way, right? So that's their home play. They have to do that. So they do the work too. Good people. Sometimes people cannot do it for you. You need to be involved. So in this particular case, the storm is heading right for Boca Raton, right? If it crashes in there, 8 feet of water, house destroyed. So what does the hurricane do with weather magic? We're like, well, a little late to kind of move it up. If it goes this way, it'll hurt so and so. You know what it does? It splits into 2. Yep. And it comes, and it goes around her and weakens. And she says, oh my gosh, we barely got rain. I'm like, yeah, that's powerful influence. Intention through your preference, embodiment, like you have this kind of influence. But how does that, how does letting go, like how does that work with letting go? Well, here's the thing. You let go of a number of things here, in this case, letting go of control of what it has to be, right? So in having that positive influence, you let go of your attachment to the outcome and let go of the controlling, like it has to be your way or the highway. Because sometimes, mystically, things have to happen. I remember one time, I think it was at Matthew. Oh boy, like I said, I can't remember all the hurricane names. So we were trying to change the trajectory of a hurricane headed for Texas. Kind of a weird place to land, but anyway. And one of the questions I ask when I do personally, when I do the weather magics, I ask, do I have permission to move the storm? Now, unlike most cases, in this case, the answer was no. And I double checked, triple checked. I said, that's strange. Usually get to move it, that kind of thing. Could diminish it, yes, but I asked why, and the answer was compassion. And I thought that was very interesting, because somehow the storm actually hitting the area in Texas was to promote, support, maybe grow compassion among the people, to work together, to take care of each other. And I could kind of get that. Yeah, so sometimes we're allowed to have an influence, but not full control of the whole thing. Now, that being said, there are a lot of different organizations, people, who knows what, trying to control the weather. That includes amplifying storms. That includes trying to make it rain when it's not, trying to get the clouds in there. So supposedly the earth doesn't heat up, but of course with the cloud there, then the heat can't dissipate. Anyway, so it makes absolutely no sense. So there are lots of things out there to try to actually control the storm using chemicals, using energetic influences that are not healthy actually for humans. But when I'm talking about us using weather magic, this is not using anything artificial. Basically, if it's for the highest and greatest good for Mother Earth to rebalance herself, and that means having a storm, oh well, the storm is there. But you can have some influence, but just letting go of the control of it having to be the way you want it to be. Because you know what? You might want, that baseball game to not rain out, right? Because you want your son or daughter to play the baseball game. You want it to be great. And yet, you go, what happened? It rained. But what you didn't realize or acknowledge was that there has been a drought, and the farmers are going to be in trouble if it does not rain. So there's hundreds of them calling for rain, and maybe this little group calling for no rain because there's a baseball game, right? So yeah, I mean, can you have influence? Yeah. I've done things where it's literally like crazy rain. It's natural, right? And I come closer to the house and I'm like saying to the universe, okay, here's the thing. I've got a bunch of, African drums to unload out of the car. Rain's really not good for the hide. So would love for you to just turn that tap off until I get them in the in the house. And it's raining, 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 raining. And I'm like, okay, put the order in, right? And we come up over the ridge and stops. The rain just stops. It's like there's like a dome, or something over my house. And I leisurely take the drums out to put them away. It's quite a few drums we have. And then we get them indoors, everything safe and sound. We close the car doors, right? Lock the door, and then the rain just like, oh yeah, it was raining. Forgot about that, right? So that's what I'm talking about. You can have influence, but it doesn't have to be control. And as a recovering control freak, I can tell you influence is super fun. And just know that if it is for your highest and greatest good, it'll happen. Sometimes, if it's not for your highest and greatest good, or if the global whatever's going on in your area is not for the highest and greatest good, then it's not going to happen what you desire. But you do have a great influence, but it's not the same as control. So hopefully I have, given you the difference between the different things. Yes, have a preference. Absolutely. Be clear about your preference, setting your GPS, right? And really allow the universe to give you the signs and watch out for them. What are those signs? And then in the case of weather magic, you will see the opposite contrast, which is the media and everybody else telling you how horrible it's going to be and how many people are going to die and blah, 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 blah. But you personally do not have to be hurt unless you need to for your lessons, but you do not have to have, pain or hurt or suffering necessarily if you put in your wish and you stay out of fear and you continue seeing, hearing, feeling, experiencing the weather you do desire. You'll be much closer to getting what you prefer. And in fact, what I find is a lot of people who are connected in our community, somehow magically their places are saved. They make the next door neighbors, all flooded, but they're fine, right? Trees downed everywhere, but they're fine. That often happens. It's just normal these days. So, just know that these things, can happen, that you have a positive influence. And then if there is media or other people telling you how terrible it is going to be, you can choose to either pay attention, put your energy over what you don't want, or you can continue, and this is weather magic, continue putting your order into the universe and just go, yeah, thank you for sharing. No, right? Just, you don't have to like push it away, like stop saying that, because then you're reacting, you're putting more energy there, right? You're just going, thank you for sharing, right? And stop looking at the news. Stop looking at your hurricane app. Yeah, they kind of influence people with that as well. I'm not going to tell you that story. Too long. Anyway, I took it off my phone. So just continue seeing what it is you do desire experiencing in the body. You'll have a positive influence. At the same time, letting go of attachment and letting go of having to control things in your life, including the weather. And it can be scary for sure, but it can equally be scary to really be clear about what it is you desire and what your preferences are, because we're afraid of not getting it, so sometimes we don't even wish for it. If that's the case, I hear you and I empathize, but I'm also here to encourage you. So I would love to get some comments around that. So did you do weather magic for your area or somebody else during the latest weather? And where else in your life have you found that maybe you'd like more influence, but realize that maybe you've been trying to be in control and maybe that's not balanced or helpful for you? So put that in the chat. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with whoever you'd like. I have some announcements for this week. Number one, on Lightwire Radio, we are re-airing a very popular episode. This is the Stress Reset episode with Dr. Erin Kinney, one of my good friends. She went through gaining tons of weight, exercising like a crazy person, and gaining more weight, and just really being completely drained and fatigued and unhealthy. And if you look at her now, you're like, oh my God, she's like super hot, right? Like, she is not fat, and she looks really great. And one of the things, that we talked about in the show, it's just about the importance of rest, especially for women and their hormones. Yeah. So if you have a tendency towards fatigue, you think maybe you have chronic fatigue, stressed out, especially if you're a woman, definitely listen to this episode. We'll put the link below where it'll re-air on Monday, 12 noon. And this was before we use Zoom, so it's going to be audio only in this case. So some other announcements as well is on Tuesday, we have our monthly mini healings, one of my favorite things to do. So every month we get together as a group. Love it if you're there live, but even if you're not, definitely put in your healing requests in the type form below this video, because you will be placed in the healing basket with your positive intentions, okay, of what it is you desire to heal, and there'll be energy, healing, intentions, positive energies sent to you for 24 hours after the airing of that live monthly mini healing. And every month we have some new themes. I have not figured out exactly what the theme is for next week, but oftentimes it'll, I'll sit in meditation, it'll come to me right before the monthly mini healing. So they tend to be kind of epic. And if you have to miss it, that's okay, because we'll keep it on the replay page for a whole month until the next one. And just remember to put your intentions and requests in the type form so we can add you to the healing basket. And we will do some demos on some individuals as well. So if you're new to 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗧 Healing, or you're new to my channel, you'll get an idea of what quality questions you can ask of the universe, of source, to help you kind of problem solve what's going on in your life. Last announcement, and I wasn't sure I was going to make this public, but we actually have some seats left, so I will make it public. I'm going to be taking off to Dallas for the LifeWave Be the Light convention. Love the names of their conventions. And I have the wonderful opportunity to do kind of a pre-event workshop. It is called Manifesting Miracles. And for 1 hour, we are actually going to have you practice that state of being where you literally magically attract positive things to you. And this particular workshop is live and in person. So that Manifesting Miracles is going to be on Thursday, October 17th from 1 to 2 p.m. Dallas time. And then from 2 to 3, we're going to do phototherapy, patching, Q&A with me. So if you are a LifeWave brand partner, whether you're with my patch training team or not, if you're going to be at convention, highly recommend that you click the link below and register for that Manifesting Miracles workshop. We only have, as of this recording, about 20 something seats left. Is a room of 100. So when it's capped off, then we will not be accepting any more donations. It's a donation of $20. Help me cover some of my costs. And yeah, I really look forward to sharing that. It's going to be fun because we're going to have some people who have never actually done 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗧 healing, and we get to dive in to some of the blocks that we often have that's preventing us from manifesting what we do desire and our success and things like that, and get to do some fabulous group healing. So that's going to be super exciting. All right. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Again, definitely hit the subscribe button if this is kind of stuff you like to hear about, and perhaps a notification bell, so every time I do a new video, you'll be notified. And definitely put in the comments what your thoughts are around letting go of control and having a positive influence in your life. Until next time, I hope to see you here and also in the Light Medicine community. Links are below. Much love. Bye for now.